and to not hold animosity toward anyone. You see, we're called to a whole different standard. But many of us allow that resentment, that anger, those phones ringing in the middle of the service to really get under your... No, that doesn't bother me a bit. Neither the kids crying, that doesn't bother me either. Are we nurturing that seed of bitterness? It's not okay. It's not okay to stay angry. It's not okay to seek vengeance. None of these things are okay. We are called to live differently. And when we live differently than the world, then Christ is lifted up. And then people will want Christ also. If we live the same way the world does, why would anybody want to become like us? Have you ever known a bitter person? Raise your hand if you've known a bitter person. Have you ever been that bitter person? Leave it up. All right, I thought it might be fun for us to take a few minutes and call out some attributes of bitter people, and I'm gonna take notes. So go ahead, and you don't have to raise your hand. Just holler them out, and if you 7 of them at the same time, I'll just have you start over again. Vindictive. Now they're going to start with these hard words to spell already. What else? Critical. Can we do like some one-syllable critical? What? Mean. Thank you. I can spell that. Negative. Stubborn. Dark. Hang on. Was that sarcastic? Sarcastic. Mean. I got mean already. That must be a double one. I'm going to give it a second check mark. Controlling. Reactive. Okay. Angry. Hang on. I'm not done with condescending yet. I'm not done with okay. Righteous. Self-righteous. Because righteous we want, right? Self-righteous. Hey, there's more of us here than you know. You better be careful. Defensive. You have to repeat that yourself. I'm not saying that out loud. Listen to Pastor Dick.
It's like having a hemorrhoid on the brain.
I hope that picked up on the camera. That would be great. Unhappy. Cranky. Depressed. Greedy. You're too fast. Manipulative. Jealous. I'm jealous that I didn't come up with manipulative. Jealous. Arrogant. I'm running out of room. Impatient. Hurry up. Cynical. Destructive. All right, that's enough. Now, okay, and here's a question for you. When I asked you to come up with those attributes of a bitter person, did you shut your eyes and say, how does that bitter person I know act? Did you do that? Was that one of the ways that you kind of came up with a way to get attributes? And I did that too. I said, well, hey, give me the most bitter person I know, and I'm going to come up with a few attributes. And you doggone it, you hit an awful lot of good ones. Did you say a bitter person often gossips? Have you noticed that? You missed that one, didn't you? Somebody said that they don't enjoy life, right? I'm not asking for any more now. Now I'm talking. That was selfish, wasn't it? Did you notice that, how that worked out? They're no fun to be around, are they? You don't want to be around a bitter person. And if you're bitter, they don't want to be around you. They also may have physical ailments. You ever notice that? Bitter people, and if you're bitter, it could start to affect your health, can't it? Your health can also make you bitter. Like I was talking to somebody after the first service, they said, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I really could have become very bitter for that. And this person didn't. They really stayed, upbeat, which was, pretty incredible to me. So all these things happen when we're a bitter person. And if I read all those, you probably wouldn't want to be around this vindictive, critical, mean, negative, stubborn, destructive, dark, sarcastic, controlling, reactive, angry, condescending, self-righteous, defensive, hemorrhoid on the brain. I can't read that writing. Cranky, depressed, greedy, manipulative, jealous, arrogant, impatient, cynical person, would you? And when that happens, when a person becomes bitter, the other thing I've noticed that they do is they make a list of people who are on their, I'm calling it the manure list today. Do you notice that? Bitter people, you're on my list. You're on my list. And they get really negative toward that person. And in fact, because they're on, that person's on their list, they want you to put them on your list too. This person's on my manure list. Would you like to put them on your manure list too? We do that, don't we? We try to build up other people that are mad at other people. And it becomes this cancer that can pervade a group. It can pervade a family. It can pervade a church. It can pervade a workplace, a school, a neighborhood. Have you ever noticed that? Get that one person who's bitter and angry, and it starts to kind of spread from that person to other folk. You want to preach? You want to come up here and preach, don't you? That's all right. We're going to need some preachers. And when that bitterness starts to infiltrate a group, whether it's a family or a household or a neighborhood or a community or a workplace or a school or a church, the devil starts to smile. Because that takes root and it starts to destroy. Remember what I said, that little, how you shut your eyes, and I told you about that seed and how it spread? And where did I say it spread last? It spreads into the mind. So that you no longer can think rationally. You no longer can think clearly. So that you may have been a very positive and joyous person to be around, but when that seed of bitterness takes root, it makes it hard for you to think rationally. And that's why such nice, good, godly Christian people can say and do some of the meanest, nastiest things. And they're not even aware that they're doing it. So that's why it's so important for us to not allow that seed to take root, even if we think we are justified in being bitter or vengeful or resentful or angry or be filled with hate. It's never okay for us because it corrupts the heart. And then we begin to affect or infect the people around us. Maybe we start to gossip. Perhaps we start to think we're better than other folk. We might begin to manipulate others for our own gain. And not just toward our enemies and not just towards our neighbors, but towards those that we love. I've even seen husbands and wives who allow their bitterness toward their spouse to justify in their mind that it's okay to go have an affair. Well, if he treated me better, or if she treated me better, then I wouldn't need to do this. But because they're treating me the way I'm being treated, then it's okay for me to go and do this. That's stupid thinking. I mean, that's irrational. But you all know people who have had that kind of irrational thought that allowed them to make decisions and choices which destroyed them and destroyed their families, right? Because it started as this little tiny seed of bitterness that allowed their whole mind and heart, spirit, and soul to be transformed and darkened. And maybe you're living this day and you're sitting here this day and you have been the recipient of that kind of stinking thinking or whatever you want to call it. You don't, because you are a follower of Jesus,